Hello friends, it's Lex at LexReads, and today we're doing the book Snob book tag in one take. Yikes. Okay, so without further ado, I'm gonna just get into the questions. Question 1 is Adaption Snob. Do you always read the book before watching the adaptation? No. Sometimes I'll go and see movies or TV shows. Sometimes I'll go see movies or I'll watch a TV show without having read the book that it's based on. Some notable examples are I've never read the 100 series. I started watching the Vampire Diaries series before I read the books. What else? Technically, I started watching the Harry Potter movies before I started reading the books because the first movie came out when I was like 3. And we went and saw them all in theaters, so I didn't start reading them until I was like 9. So I had already seen like half of them. And there are a few more, but I can't really think of those. So, question 2. I'm reading the questions. Also, the original is linked down below. Number 2 is Format Snob. You can only choose one format to read in for the rest of your life. Physical books, obviously. Those are the ideal book. Let's grab a random book. Nothing is better than holding a physical book. I don't like audiobooks at all. I don't listen to audiobooks. I've never listened to an audiobook all the way through. I've never enjoyed the experience of listening to an audiobook. Ebooks I do read pretty consistently and actively. Go back in the shelf. But I'd way rather read a physical book than an ebook. So if I have to pick one, we're going physical. I need to not lean down that far. It's because I don't wear my glasses when I film because it reflects off of the window. But I can't read very well, so I have to lean in pretty far. Ship Snob, would you date or marry a non-reader? I have dated, and I'm not married. I've dated non-readers before, and I would date or marry a non-reader. Is it preferable to me to date a reader? Totally. Because one of the things that's the hardest for me in my general life is that in my day-to-day life, I don't have very many friends and family and stuff that read, that are readers. I have a couple of friends who are readers. One of my best friends, I'm actually my big, in my sorority. I'm in a sorority, fun fact. She is a reader too. So we can talk about books, but we don't have the same taste in books. She reads a lot of light-hearted, fluffy romances, and I read a lot of gritty thrillers, fantasy, that's. So we differ in that, but we can still talk about reading, and we can still talk about books. We still recommend books to each other from time to time, especially when there's overlap in what we're reading, So yeah, I would, but if I could choose, it would be nice if I dated someone who read. It would be nice if I dated someone who read similar books to me so we can talk about books. I would love to date someone that I can buddy read with. That would be so much fun. Genre, Snob. You have to ditch one genre, never to be read again for the rest of your life. Which one do you ditch? Historical fiction, because I already don't like it. Is that a plot hole? Is that a loophole? Probably, but I don't read it anyway, so there would be 3 books that I've ever read and enjoyed that would get. But sometimes you gotta live with that. I read most other genres, so definitely historical fiction. Uber genre snob. Oh, you can only choose to read from one genre for the rest of your life. Which genre do you choose? I think. Can I choose a broad genre? Can I choose just general fantasy? Because I feel general fantasy includes a lot more than a lot of other broad genres do. Because general fantasy, it includes urban fantasy and realistic fantasy and high fantasy and I just feel you get some more options. So yeah, I would read fantasy for the rest of my life. Realistic fantasy / urban fantasy is my favorite genre. If we go by books that I have read and enjoyed, quantity, so definitely fantasy. community. Snob. Which genre do you think receives the most snobbery from the bookish community? Snobbery in what way? I think that romance gets a bad rep. If you've been here for a minute, you might know that I don't actually I don't enjoy very many books usually that like their primary genre and plot and existence is romance. I like a side of romance with my fantasy, or a side of romance with my sci-fi, or like a side of romance with my coming of age story. But I don't typically read and love romance books. But I think there's like this weird way that people view romance. If we're talking about ones that like people have that like superiority complex with, probably fantasy maybe. I think there's a lot of like, or like classics maybe. I don't know. I feel like there's different kinds of snobbery involved with most genres. Maybe people who read a lot of like highbrow like literary fiction or like classics. Thank you, truck, for that. Like literary fiction or classics, because some people, not everyone, and not even kind of close to everyone, but I have had the experience with a few people who are kind of like pretentious and rude about, like, well, literary fiction is like real writing, and your YA fantasies, like, sure, you're reading, but are you really reading? So like that kind of deal happens. So maybe lit fic / classics. I don't know about that one. And the last one is 7, snobbery recipient. Have you ever been snubbed for something that you have been reading, or for reading in general? Snubbed for something I've been reading. I mean, every time I talk about reading, like, rereading Twilight, people are like, because, it's Twilight. But on the whole, people are generally pretty chill about what I read. No one really seems to care that much, which is great. I've never received any, like, weird comments or anything about, like, your reading taste is awful. And even if my reading taste is awful, I don't really care because it makes me happy, so. Alright, friends, that's it. That's all the questions. You did it. We did it. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you tomorrow for a little bit more of a legitimate video. This one's kind of, it's 3 p.m. and I still haven't uploaded. Yikes. I need to be better. Anyway, I've had a good time hanging out with you. If you want to do this tag, if you make videos, or if you want to answer the tag questions down below, definitely do that. Let's chat about it. If you disagree with any of the things that I said, let me know that down below too. Let's chat. Thank you guys. I will see you soon. I have hiccups again. That happens in every other video I've ever filmed. Bye guys.